Hey guys, Tyler Ansman here with Tyler Ansman Performance. So one of the things that we're going to talk about today is movement restriction at the shoulder, kind of specifically through layback. So one of the things that we'll assess when we get guys in is kind of passive and active range of motion through external rotation, right? And so we're looking for a couple of things. One, we're looking for pretty similar ranges between active and passive. All right, so if we have kind of a big gap, like we have a lot of passive and not a lot of active, we've got an issue there because we're really not controlling that effectively. And so we're likely getting out of the range of our kind of optimal length tension relationship into this kind of descending force curve. So I want to make sure we kind of strengthen that if that's one of the things we're seeing. But one of the other things that we also see is that we see guys with restricted range of motion both passively and actively. And so how do we go about not only improving this range of motion, but also strengthening these end ranges so we can kind of use these things optimally and safely when we're throwing? So let's talk about that today in one of the series that we'll use with a lot of our guys. All right, so one of the first ones we're gonna do is a release of the posterior shoulder. So take a lacrosse ball. If it's really tender, you could use a tennis ball. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna look for that infraspinatus, all right? So you'll look for this spot, kind of back of your shoulder, towards your lat a little bit, and that spot that kind of like makes you say, ooh, or wince a little bit, you'll know you're on the right spot. So we wanna put your elbow pretty much right in line with your shoulder. So what we're gonna do is kind of relax into external rotation, thumb towards the ground, and then we're gonna internally rotate, thumb towards the ground. Again, trying to keep that face relaxed while we do this. We're going to take our time through this. So we'll do 1 to 2 minutes on this, making sure that we're breathing in a relaxed manner as we do this. In and out through your nose. All right. So 1 to 2 minutes here, or somewhere in the neighborhood of kind of 20 to 30 movements as we do this. All right. All right, so next we're going to do a subclavius release. So if you find your collarbone, right, it's that muscle right under there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go basically to the sternum, and then we're going to stay off the front of the shoulder, so relatively small area, and we're just going to go back and forth, right, in a horizontal pattern. So we're going to put our arm kind of out to the side here. We'll go back and forth here. We'll spend about a minute or two on this. If you need to make it a little bit more intense, you can put that hand behind your back. Same deal, we'll go back and forth there. Okay, so what our final release is going to be a barbell Peck Smash. So, credit to Dr. Kelly Starrett for this. So you're going to go on your back. All right, we'll kind of find the outer portion of that pec. All right, again, elbow kind of roughly in line with that shoulder. We'll start with that thumb down, so wrist kind of supinated. In external rotation, and we'll internally rotate only as far as you can go without kind of dumping that shoulder forward, and then back again. And so I'll generally do 5 to 10 here, and then trying to keep my hand and elbow on the ground. I'll reach overhead, try to get my bicep as close as I can to my ear, and then back down. And same deal, I'll do 5 to 10 here, and then I'll move this up a little higher on my pec. All right, and we'll do the same thing again. All right, so then what we're going to do is we're going to add a movement component to this. So we're going to do some shoulder external rotation, pails and rails. So what we're going to do is you'll lay down, forehead supported on one pad, elbow supported on the other, a med ball or some other kind of implement here that we're going to kind of challenge that range of motion with. And so basically what we're going to do is I'm going to lay down, I'm going to press hard, kind of ramping that contraction up, right, from like a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 10. And then I'm going to lift off the ball. Ideally, it's only going to be a little bit because I'm really challenging that end range of motion. I'm going to hold that, and then I'm going to do it again. So we're going to start with kind of 5-second increments. The ramp on the press down is going to be very gradual. On the lift off, you can go a little bit harder. All right, so here's how this will look. So we want to set that elbow up at shoulder height or just above. Hand on the ball. All right, I'm going to press down, ramping that contraction. Then I'm going to lift off. Right, not very far, starting to get a little crampiness. And then I'm going to do the same thing again. Okay, so this, when you're starting out, may drive a little bit of residual soreness. So not something to do every day necessarily. Increase your exposure gradually, maybe one set 2 to 3 times a week as you start. Generally wouldn't do it necessarily the day before a high intensity session or right before a high intensity session. Experiment with it, maybe the day before a lower intensity session, kind of see how it feels, and go from there. All right? Thanks for watching. If you have questions, feel free to drop them in the comments or shoot us an email. If you got something out of this video, please share and subscribe. Thanks.